Just want to direct everybody's attention to the rules of decorum, Rule 26. And I'm going to propose that either of these are going to be enforced, or you should amend them. But particularly B1. And I'll read it. Everybody has a copy. These are handed out to everybody at the beginning of the meeting. All comments and remarks from the audience shall be addressed to the council as a whole, and not to any single member, unless in response to a question from such member. I want to remind everybody that these are business meetings of the city. These are not debates. These are not candidates' nights. These are not opportunities for interviews. Allowing free fall to occur the way this council is permitting allows for mistakes. Extemporaneous remarks may or may not be correct, shooting from the hip, guessing about an answer to a question that shouldn't even be addressed, only causes problems. So either I'm going to ask that council enforces your own rules or amend them to allow debates and interviews and candidates' nights. It's become a little ridiculous. I brought this up a number of times. I understand wanting to work with the residents, but these are business meetings, and they should be treated as such. Again, I have an executive.
Are we done after executive? Does anyone have anything else?
I may have something afterward.
Okay. You know what, I will take residents' comments or questions if you have any now. Any questions or comments?
It goes two ways. 3 men and a camera. And are you a lawyer? It goes 3 ways, both ways.
Is that a comment or a question?
It's a comment.
Thank you.
If I had made it a question, you would
Please
answer
address it to the
anyways.
council.
Council President, thank you.
Anyone else? Jeff?
Are you saying that we shouldn't be allowed to ask questions of the council or the mayor?
I'm saying that the rules should be amended because it doesn't allow for that.
Well, what is the caucus for?
Business
What are
of the
these
city.
meetings for?
Have you read the rule?
No, I didn't. You weren't kind enough to hand me one of those. So
They're
I don't
handed
know.
out at the beginning of every meeting. They're freely
Pardon?
available. They're handed out at the beginning of every meeting. They're freely available. I have a copy if you want.
I didn't
There's nothing in here-
see anybody handing them out.
Again, this is, either address it to the council as a whole, or if you're going to allow interviewing, amend the rule. It's really pretty simple.
Who do you want me to talk to, Mayor? I thought that we were talking together here. Who am I supposed to talk to? I don't have my glasses, but I'll do the best I can do.
These are business meetings. These aren't interviews.
I don't understand.
Okay?
I mean, if you ask a question,
Take it up
when
with
the
council
committees ask
afterward.
if
This
there's
is
any questions
this
from
is-
the audience,
this is
isn't that
com-
when you're supposed to ask the question?
No, this is council's rule, not my rule. If council wants to amend the rule, they can amend the rule.
Hasn't this always been the way it worked? Any questions from the audience?
Read the rule.
Or is this something we're going to enforce now? Is that what you're saying?
I don't have any vote here.
Under,
Well, you're bringing it up.
I don't have a vote.
Well, why are you bringing this up? then,
Because
if
the
you don't
rule's
have a
being
vote?
violated. Over and over and over again.
Jeff, if I may, under the rules of council, any questions or statements from the audience have to be directed to council as a whole. There's not to be debate or, back and forth, banter per se. It outlines it in there, and I'm sorry if everyone was not given a copy, we can make copies available. But the rules have not been adhered to 100% because we like to, interact with our residents and listen to hear what they have to say. However, sometimes it does go a little above and beyond. So in order, to keep the flow of the meetings, this is, what we propose is going back to their, suggestion of the mayor. It is part of our council rules, so I have no interest in changing them. But moving forward, I think council should adhere to them and follow them a little more closely.
So let me ask you a question. I mean, I guess I just don't quite understand this. you as council members, when you come out of your committees or whatever, and you ask if there's any questions from the audience, and someone from the audience answers, aren't they talking to the whole council?
This is right here, should not be permitted, the back and forth dialogue. I was under the impression that it was up to each individual council person if they wanted to ask a question. That's the way I take it. If I have a question that is brought to me, I will try to answer it to the best of my ability. I cannot speak for every council person. But under the rules of council, you are allowed to make a statement, and it has to be addressed to the council as a whole. Banter back and forth is not permissible.
Where are you supposed to talk to these council people at? Out of the meeting? Call them at home? I thought this was open for discussion. That was the reason for coming to these meetings.
These are our business meetings. This is where we do the biggest part of what we do. And we do take input from residents and we take comments. But the back and forth banter, not so much. This council has allowed it because, well, I enjoy interacting with residents. So I have a different view.
I thought that these caucus meetings, that's what they were for, was public discussion.
There is a portion of the meeting that you can raise a statement to, but a caucus meeting is where it's the heart of
So
what
in other
we do.
words, you should never ask if there's any questions from the audience, right?
Under the rule, I
We should just sit
guess
here like a
not.
bunch of dummies, and
Well-
not being able to voice our opinions in the city government?
I have a different view.
Is
I
this,
want to know.
is this a communist council, or what's the situation?
Absolutely.
Why can't we
No,
speak
absolutely
as
not.
residents? I don't get, what am I doing here? What am I doing? Why do I come to these meetings if I can't voice my opinion?
If I may,
Sure, Mayor.
well, I don't need your permission, if I may.
Go ahead.
It says, comments and remarks from the audience shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to a single member, unless a response to a question from such member. There's nothing in the rule that allows for questioning, interrogating, interviews, candidates' nights, debates, none of that. If council wants to amend the rule, they can certainly amend the rule.
I think we should amend the rule.
Well, when you get voted in, you can have a vote. If council wants to amend the rule, then you can consider amending it, but there's nothing in the rule that allows what's going on here now.
Well,
President Pro Tem, could I?
yeah, in 1 second, I understand what you're saying. And before we decide to amend any rule or make any changes, I would like all council members present. And that's just my thought on it. I have no objection to answering questions or hearing what a resident has to say. That's just my personal opinion. Randy, go ahead, please.
If you think about the city as a business, we are essentially the board of directors of the business. And every time we come here for a caucus meeting, that is essentially a board meeting of the business of the city of Seven Hills. And I think that it's important for us to interact with constituents, essentially the shareholders of this fictional corporation, I'm using my analogy. I think that it's absolutely important that we interact with all of the residents. But I think that this particular council has been so open to discussion with anyone who attends a meeting that we are sort of sidetracking the business of the city on a regular basis, and that these meetings last far longer than they probably should. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I've been on both sides of this rock, right? And I'll tell you what, I would be disappointed if I didn't have an opportunity to state an opinion as a member of the public in front of the council in an informal manner. But that's what it should be. It should be a statement. This is what I think about the PUD zoning and why we should have lights. And then and that's it, I make my statement, and then you take it under advisement or not, as if I'm in a citizen's role. However, if you as Pro Tem wants to ask that residents a question, a response, right, under item 1, unless in response to a question from such member, right, you ask that question to the audience. I think we just have to be aware of the tightrope you're walking there, right? But there needs to be input. And then we can get that input as long as everyone understands that you make a statement to you And then if there's anything from council that we're getting quality input, somebody's got a good idea, we don't want to lose that. There's people here who are involved and other people come later on. We need to have voice. So let's don't cut it off, but just control it clearly. It's there, I understand the mayor's absolutely right. 16 back and forth. You don't want me sitting out there with PUD issues, with 16 questions for you. That is somewhat an environment for that. But make my statement, be done, and if something needs followed up on, back and forth. But I think maybe we read all comments and remarks from the audience shall be addressed to the council as a whole every time we open up a committee meeting to the audience for input. So everyone reminds themselves that, okay, tell us what you think, thank you. Tell us what you think, thank you. And then we get input without squashing communists.
Randy?
I would also mention that some councils, they do have like time limits for individual responses from constituents, and I think that might be sort of a good middle ground for still allowing that input to be provided, but also allowing things to.
Any other input from council? Administration? Brian, you had a comment?
Yes. What happens when we ask for information, the things that we want, and we never did it? Month after month after month after month. Where do we go then? Does council just ignore us? Does everybody ignore us?
Are you referring to your public records request?
Yes, a lot of them. Never had them. Months, 3 months, 4 months. Goes back. We get nothing. How do we then tell council you're not doing your job, or whomever?
Well, I probably ought to correct that. I don't think
What if it's the law director or the mayor?
Right.
Do we address council for that? Because since we can't talk to them and they don't answer us?
The short version would be that council has no discretion over records requests. We don't handle any of that. It would be nice to be brought to, I agree, it should be brought to our attention that they're not being fulfilled. But that really is an administrative part of what goes on. So we really have no authority over that. Jack?
Isn't the mayor a guest at these meetings? Isn't the council run this meeting and not the mayor? Isn't he a guest at our meetings, just like I am? He's not part of the council, is he?
He's not a guest either. Yeah.
And I'm required to be here by the charter.
Pardon?
The charter requires that I have to be here.
Okay, but the council runs this meeting, right?
Absolutely.
You're a guest here, or
I'm not
you're
a guest.
you're
I'm
required.
to be here.
Right.
I say, I don't have a vote. If they want to
Right.
amend the rules.
Well, then I want to amend it. How do we do this? How do I do this
Talk to your
as a
council.
citizen?
Talk to your
Okay, council, I want to amend this, so we can open this up to the membership here, the citizens of the city. That's what I want to do. This is unheard of, that we can't speak at a meeting because you don't want to be here, Mayor? Why don't you go home then?
Where do you
You
get
don't
that
want to
from?
be here.
Where do you get that from?
Well, you sit there like you're bored
This
to
is
death.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
This is the kind of dialogue that should not be.
I didn't bring
occurring.
this up.
If I may, do I have the floor or don't I?
Please, go ahead.
I have the floor, I
You
believe.
have the floor.
This is the kind of dialogue that should not occur in a city meeting. This is a business meeting, not a debate.
Goes both ways.
All right, let's move on.
I think that what we're gonna do is wait till the other members of council are here, get their input on it. I have no interest in changing the rules.
We should discuss at
agree.
the next rules committee.
Yes, we will bring it up. I agree with Norm, adhere to the rules and, maintain some order.
Here are the rules, maintain order, like get in.
Definitely.
All three can be.
I'm not here to
all three-
silence anyone.
All three can be
so-
accomplished.
But maintaining order we have to do. Oh, Tom, do you have something to say?
You haven't noticed. Some background. Besides Mr. Smith, none of you were here under the old regime, and I'm going back before old council. When you got up to the podium, you had a strict time limit, which was really a mess sometimes. Time limits stink, Randy. That's not a good idea. I agree with Jack wholeheartedly. You need to amend your rules.
Now, see, that's a point of order.
Point of order. Wait a minute, what was I
Another
doing?
direct comments to pro tem. That's what the rule's all about in its spirit.
So
is-
who was I directing it to, Mark?
Well, when you said something, Randy, just say it to the, say it.
Okay,
And
Randy
a
was.
learning experience.
Yeah, Randy was frog-eyeing me.
And I'm
Okay.
violating now.
Here's the deal. It was the Traffus Council that passed the ordinance that says residents be allowed to speak at all public meetings, because it didn't used to be like that. And the planning commission was in here whining about stuff I said to them, and they wanted to restrict residents from talking. Traffus Council deliberately passed that ordinance, despite the planning commission, that residents be allowed to speak wherever. When this started out, we got a spot to speak. For one meeting at council, we were allowed to speak last. That only lasted one, because Mike Bart's tidy whities got wound up really bad.
That's out of order.
He didn't like to have, you're out of order, I have the floor. He didn't like somebody else having
Point
the
of order.
last word.
Point of order. May we
Mayor.
have a
Okay,
ruling?
can I finish?
May we have a ruling?
Can I have
There's
finished?
been a statement that the statement of the gentleman was out of order. May we have a ruling?
Yes, it was.
Okay, sorry about the tidy whities.
Out
Anyhow.
of order.
Sorry,
You should just
you cannot, you know,
resign.
this is just it.
You
This
should
is the
just
whole
resign.
premise
You
of
know,
what the mayor's
I think you
talking
should move
about.
along.
Again, point of order.
This is
Asking-
ridiculous.
Asking a council person to resign, I believe, also
Yeah.
violates the rule.
It does.
Ill-mannered language.
I'd like to see, ill-mannered, yes. I'd like to see council amend the rules. And we could try to talk another time when people aren't here interrupting.
Anyone else from the audience? Thank you. I have nothing else. Mayor, if you wanted, you said you have something else?
Yes, I do, absolutely.